Hi kiddos! For today's activity, we're going to make an elephant collage where we're going to color it and cut it out with some scissors, some glue, paint, crayons, and markers. So more specifically, you're going to need 2 sheets of thick paper, a pair of scissors, some glue, paint, and some paintbrushes, as well as a paint dispenser to mix your paints, and a little glass of water to rinse your paintbrushes. Okay, so we're going to take our first piece of paper, which we're going to draw our elephant on. So the first thing to do is to fold over the piece of paper widthwise. Great, so now he's nice and even, and we're going to take our fingers and press it right along the side so it's nice and folded. And then use your fingers to just rub right along the side to make it a really nice tight fold. Perfect. So here we make sure, yep, he's nice and folded. Pressing over it again with my hand. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our colored pencil and we're going to start at the very tippy top here. And we're going to start drawing the shape of our elephant. Okay, so here from the top, do a little line over right there towards your thumb, and it's going to swoop right up to do the trunk. And then we're going to leave about an inch and swoop down and over, and then make a line right towards the bottom. All right, so now we have to do the rest of our body. So next to this leg, we're going to draw right there and bring it down to make his first leg. Then from the top here, we're going to go over to make his belly. And then when you're almost towards the end of the paper, you're going to swoop down and draw up right there until the bottom of the paper. So now we've made, you see, his head, his trunk, his 2 legs, his belly, and now we have to do the top. Great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut his body out, starting at the top, around the trunk, around and below, through the belly. So let's start up top. Grab your scissors and snip right alongside the head. Snip right down there. Keep following your line as best as you can, you guys. Don't worry if it's not perfect. So now here in the trunk, it's going to get a little bit more tricky. You're just going to make sure you have a little bit of a curve right here. So you can switch around the side of your paper to follow your line a little bit more easily. And snip right through there so we can remove the little piece of paper. Up, almost there. Awesome. And then we're going to pull off that little piece of paper. Ooh, he's really tough, isn't he? There we go. Okay, so now our trunk is nice and curvy. And now we're going to leave about an inch and cut the other side of the trunk. So snip down and snip around. Be careful there. Oop, little finger. Make sure that you're snipping not too closely to your fingers. And now we're going to make another little curve around his neck. Okay, and you can, snip from multiple directions. It makes it a lot easier to get into those little nooks and crannies. So here, up, okay. We have to do another little swoop. I'm switching the paper around. And little by little, I'm trying to find the easiest way to cut around through the neck to make sure the curve is nice and well done. And perfect. Great job, you guys. So you see now we have the little neck of the curve and the trunk, and now we're going to do his belly. So you see it's just a square that we have to cut out. So you can take your scissors and just go straight up on the left-hand side of his leg. And now we're going to cut right across the belly, straight. So no curves this time, that's easier. And then we're going to cut right down the hind legs, straight. All right, awesome job, you guys. So now we're going to take our elephant and open him just to make sure he's looking good. Great, look, he stands up right on his own. Fabulous, like a big, strong wild animal. So now we're going to take our elephant. We're going to fold him down. So look, he's like a double elephant. Nice and flat. And we're going to take up one of our, ooh, let's just make sure he's really nice and flat actually so the paint sticks. And we're going to paint him, you know, I like baby blue personally. I know elephants are gray, but they're kind of gray blue. And we're going to squirt our paint right into our paint dispenser. So I would squirt a pretty big amount because our elephant is pretty big. We have 2 sides. And I would take also one of your bigger paint brushes because we have so much elephant to paint. The bigger your paintbrush is, the less you'll have to kind of stroke. Perfect. So just make sure that your paintbrush is nice and clean. We're going to grab some paint and we're going to start right in the middle there and do outward brush strokes. Right from the middle. And paint over all the parts of his body. So right now we're doing the left-hand trunk. Keep going, keep going. Look how big he is. More paint, obviously. This is a really, really big elephant, isn't he? I personally love elephants. I think they're one of the most majestic creatures in the entire jungle. So many different kinds of elephants, too. The elephants in Southeast Asia have little freckles. The elephants of Africa are a little bit more beige. All sorts of elephant species all around the world. And in a lot of countries, they use elephants instead of cars to get around places because they're so strong. They can carry lots of different things. They're really, really gorgeous. Hoping one day I can go on a safari and really see one for real. All right, let's add a little bit more blue here and keep going on those hind legs. Also, baby elephants are really cute. Oh. So this elephant is so big, I need to add a little bit more paint. You guys might need to add some paint because there's so much terrain to cover here. Okay. Let's keep him going. Definitely no elephants in my part of the world. At the zoo, but not wild ones. That'd be funny if, you know, your parents could take you to school on an elephant, wouldn't it? Okay. So keep brushing with your brush all the way through until you see no more paint left on it, and then you can go ahead and grab a little more. Up. Almost done with the second half of our little elephant. Let's get his little paws and his trunk. He really is nice and blue. So alongside with our elephant, we're going to make little ears and we're going to draw a little face on him. But, you know, maybe you want to add some accessories around your elephant. Like, you know, we can make a little carpet for him to stand on. You can draw some other things around him to put him in his context, in his environment. Okay, great. We finished painting our elephant. So we're just going to be careful with our fingers here. And we're going to put him on the side so he can dry. But he sure does look nice. Okay, so now we're going to grab our new piece of paper. And with this piece of paper, we're going to make his big old elephant ears. So we're going to first fold our paper in half, just the way we did with our first piece of paper. So again, take your fingers and run them right alongside the fold on the left-hand side of the piece of paper. See, nice and folded. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and snip right in the middle where we made our fold. Snip right through and boom. So now we're going to take one side of our paper and we're going to fold it widthwise. Take our fingers, fold along the left-hand fold, just as we did our first piece of paper. And now what we're going to do is take our colored pencil and we're going to draw our elephant ears. Let's put our paper down Looks good, nice and folded. And make sure that it's really nice and crisp and it's really quite tight on the fold. So when we draw our ears, we're going to start up top here about 1 inch away from the top. And there needs to be space between where you're going to start your ear and where you're going to end your ear. So about up, we're going to start at about right on the tippy top of the piece of paper, and then end it about 1 inch right from the starting point. So you see that? We did it like a loop where there's a solid inch of space between where you started with your pencil and where we're gonna end the snip. So we're snipping around here on the left-hand side. Okay. And see, we don't have to cut here because the paper is already doing some of the cutting for us. Then just pick up where the paper leaves off and keep snipping right alongside. And you can use your fingers to guide you while you're cutting. And really, please be careful with your fingers. All right, keep snipping, and you're gonna stop right there, 1 inch underneath your starting point. So now your ears have been cut. Let's open them up. All right, looking good. So now we're going to paint our ears. So we can either use the light blue of the body, or we can, go with a little bit of a funkier color like this dark blue. Okay, or the light. I prefer the dark. So we're going to open up the dark and pop it into the paint dispenser. And again, you guys can use a skinnier brush for this painting because we have a little bit less terrain to cover. So we're going to close up the tube, grab our paintbrush. Oh, this paintbrush is a little bit dirty, isn't it? So let's rinse him. You can also use a marker for this, but since there's quite a bit of painting to do, I always prefer a brush. So let's get this brush really nice and clean. Okay. And then we're going to use our towel here to clean him up. Make sure there's absolutely no paint left on him. Oh, look at all that baby blue that was left. So keep dabbing and flipping your paintbrush back and forth to make sure that you're getting the paint from both sides. Rub your fingers on it to make sure there's nothing left. And now we're going to grab our blue. And make sure you don't want any water with this part of the painting. We want the blue to be really nice and rich, so absolutely no water while you're painting the ears. Great. So start painting outwards. And again, you're just going to have paint on your brush, no water. So paint outwards, 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 so you get that really rich blue. And again, you can really, go ahead and use your bottom piece of paper to capture any of the little mistakes on the end. So you can definitely use your paper on the outside. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to switch my ear around because you're going to be able to better access the other ear that needs to be painted. And again, just take your brush, make sure you have a lot of paint on it. We're not going to use any water. And paint outwards. As soon as you see that your brush is going dry, we're going to add a little bit more. And go, go, go. Move my finger. You could even paint something on the inside of your ears as well. If you wanted to paint little freckles or little stars. Nice. So here we have our ears. They're a little bit wet, so you want to carry them kind of underneath to make sure that you don't get too much paint on your fingers. The moment we're going to put it on the side, make sure the paint dries. Look at that. Looks like we've made art. So now we're going to take our piece of paper here and we're going to fold it over. So what it's going to do, it's going to give us a new clean workstation. So we're going to put our dry elephant right up top. Okay. And he needs a little bit of a face, doesn't he? So I'm going to take a skinny little brush, nice and clean. I'm rubbing it with my fingers to make sure it's clean. I'm dabbing a little bit of water and using that same dark blue I used for the ears. We're going to make tiny little toes on the bottom of his legs. So what you're going to do is you're just going to make almost like little dots right alongside on all 4 legs. So you're going to make a little dot, little dot, little dot. So about 5 dots per leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, you don't really want to use much water for making the dots as well because you don't want them to run. Looks good. And 5. Awesome. Now we're going to make his eyes using that same blue. You're going to take your paintbrush, dip it into the paint, and he needs some eyes. Gorgeous. So just make a little circle, fill him in, and then we're going to make the exact same size circle on the exact same other side of the elephant. Perfect. And now his trunk. He needs a little nostril so he can breathe. 1, 2. And then same thing on the other side of the trunk. 1, 2. On the same spot. So now our elephant has a face and is all done. So we're going to take him, fold him, only touch him kind of along the sides so you don't get too much paint on your fingers. Perfect. So now he's standing up. So in order for us to get the ears right there, we're going to make a little bit of a cut on top of the elephant. So take your scissors. We're just going to place our ears just to see whereabouts do we want him. Okay. Yeah, that looks like a good spot, right? Right there. So take your finger, fold back your elephant, and you're going to make a tiny little cut about 1 inch away from the end of his head and 1 inch deep, and stop. And now you're going to take your ears and the exact place where we cut, you're going to slide them right in. So you see the length of the cut is the exact same length as the length of the ears. Great. Awesome job, you guys. So you see on the other side of the ear there, if you really wanted to, you could keep painting on the inside for you perfectionists. You could also make him a little environment. You could draw him a little rug or a little plant. So kiddos, if you want your elephant to hold a little bit better, you can add some glue on the front between his 2 paws and also on the back. You can even add a little bit of paint inside if you're a real perfectionist, so every single angle that you hold your elephant, he looks like 360-degree perfection. I hope you had a really fun time today making it and that you enjoyed yourself. I'd also love to see your work if you send it in to tutokid.com.